Hey guys, and welcome once again to Studio 44. Phil Sherman here, and I have a little bit of a different video for you. This is half Stadium Extravaganza and half RDL All-Star mode. In the last premiere that I had on YouTube, I mentioned in the comments that the RDL All-Stars roster was ready. And a lot of people took interest in it, so I figured I'd go through and break down that roster real quick. I do have the season all set up. Everybody's in the right majors, triple, double A, every level they're supposed to be at. I think I got the lineups and pitching rotation set, so I'll break that down for you real quick. But first, I want to get the stadiums in so the people who don't care about the Ricky Davis League All-Stars can shoot on out of here when the time comes, especially for the premiere, because I know a lot of times people stick around for the premiere, but they might not necessarily care about their RDL All-Stars. So that will be up and running. So hopefully here soon I can get these 3 videos I just recorded and this one edited, and then maybe we can do some live streams. You guys come in, tell me what stadium you want me to play at next, get a couple highlights out of it, fast forward through the rest of the game, and then the next person tells me their stadium they want to see me play in. Maybe we can do something like that. Otherwise, just randomly when I play, I'll record highlights, throw the clips together, and you can see what stadiums I did play in. So without any more babbling from me, let's see some stadiums. These stadiums are pretty much just stadiums that came in after I finished recording the last 3 videos that I recorded Memorial Day Saturday. This is now Memorial Day Sunday, and I have a couple stragglers from people who requested more than one stadium at once, and we're starting that off with Chase Halliday, who gave us Ye Old Times. I believe this catches us up with him. This is in Smoke Valley, Pennsylvania, altitude of 588 feet, and it was built in 1938, so we're looking at an old school stadium right here, and this has been uploaded a bunch of times in the vault. There's like 158 pages of Ye Old Times. I think that's the name of it, right? Yeah, Ye Old Times. But, I mean, right away you get the old school vibe with the Wrigley buildings out and right, bleachers on top. And then you got some old school buildings with the bridge back here. Very, very nice. And then a nice little road. I got to give credit to SDS. I think it was smart to do the road and all that stuff, because so many stadiums you can see it, and it gives you such a good, especially for like those college parks and minor league parks where there's not as much going on in the outfield. Left field's pretty standard. 3 decks, old school building in the background, and it wraps all the way around to the back, and it gets a little less standard back here with the castle building serving as the broadcast booth. Very nice. Chase Halliday, we're all caught up with you, buddy. So if you come up with some new stadiums, let me know. We can get them showcased. And remember, if you are someone who... Oh, I got the Terminator thing working. Come on, Gincana. My skin is melting away. Let me know if you've given me more than one stadium and you make a new one and you want that one fast-tracked. Put that in the comments for the Google form that you can find on my YouTube channel, the description of this video, or my Facebook page. So that's Ye Old Times from our good buddy Chase Halliday. Thank you, sir. I will be looking for new stadiums from you in the future. We have a couple more stadiums from A King for Life to see. The first one we're going to check out is Olivia Park. It's in Springfield, Virginia. Altitude of 246 feet, and it was built in 2024. Olivia Park at Cameron Yards. It's got the new Camden Yards style left field with the higher wall, and then it shoots down where the bullpen is in Camden Yards. I like to hit it here, blended right into that concourse. Beautiful. You got a little Hall of Fame section here with some statues. So what happened? Did he swung through, and that's like a trail that went by? It must be. He's got the San Diego Padres batter's eye. Got some flags out here in right center. Then you got another Hall of Fame section back here with the circle. Fireworks going off. 10:49. This neighborhood, I tell you. Oh, today's Sunday. I mean, I get that it's Memorial Day weekend, but my neighborhood. Oh, it's Sunday. We didn't have to work today. Let's shoot off some fireworks. I love seeing shit blow up in the sky. I never noticed this about the aquarium. It's got running water running through here. That's pretty cool. People are chilling out through there. I know there's a pretty big, fancy aquarium in Baltimore. I didn't get to see it. It's not too far down the street from the baseball stadium, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, this is cool. The 2 decks. Well, 3 layers of decks. Chrissy's Tavern. Out and left. Then you got people hanging out in the building and up here. Very cool. And then pretty standard in right field. Nicely done with the corner. Homage to Jackie again. Oh, this is a fun little section right in here. Hit it here, cafe and some signs. And a little like broadcast booth maybe. Or it could be a concession stand too. Here's the press box and radio row. Very nice. Bowl style seating in the lower level. I like that. Then you got some luxury boxes. Awesome. King for Life sending us some fun stuff. Turn the lights on and we'll check outside. Faced off with that office complex or looks very good at night. Great choice of buildings in the background. I like it. Oh, what's up here? Kingo Services SBA. Now, Kingo Services, that's funny. That's the next stadium that he has for us. The name of the stadium is Kingo. Oh, I didn't see the guys over here. Oh, and on the steps. This is the same building that you can hit it in United Airlines Field. The headquarters of the Chicago Hitmen. All right. Yeah, I like this. It's cool seeing the aquarium from home plate and the building with all the people and the park. The sign looks great. Nicely done. And he offered these stadiums up to us for the Ricky Davis League. I got to get together with my brother and figure this out so we can get this going. I don't even know if he has the game yet. But I finally played a bunch of games to set up the RDL All-Stars because you kind of got to get started to let the guys that they send down, who you have no control over, they send them down and they got to clear waivers and blah, 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 blah. And then you can, make the roster how you want, and it takes a little while. But I think I finally got the uniforms and the logo how I want. So we'll take a peek at that in a little bit. Let's move on to a King for Life's next stadium. Here we are, folks. Kingo Services Stadium in Springfield, Virginia. Has an altitude of 246 feet, built this year. And this is the second one in this video for a King for Life. He said this is the first stadium he made in 24. He put a lot of time in outside of the stadium, so we'll definitely take a look at that. I really like center field so far. This building, the aquarium, looks good or the aquatic entertainment center, whatever you call it. It looks good in center field as kind of like decoration. And these are pretty cool. Oh, look at this. A big old pool. Is it coming from the aquatic center? Nice. Yep, it sure is. Then it comes down and leaks into the waterfall. Awesome. All right. Homage to Jackie. People hanging out on this deck. Very quirky dimensions. I love it. And yet you still were able to stay pretty close and avoid a lot of dead space. Very nicely done. This is a poke. I'd love to try to get up here with some of the gentlemen I'm going to introduce you to in a few minutes. Kingo Services Stadium. So what's the significance of this? We've seen it in 2 different stadiums now. Is this your job? Is this your business? I always get curious about this kind of stuff. Cam's Club. I like it. Left field, a little bit more standard left field with some field level seating and then the second and third deck. Then you got some bleachers above. Nicely done in the corner with a little park-like setting. Another one of those concession stands. People waiting for their food or drink. And pretty standard. Just a couple little niches here where you have those concessions again. Awesome. Yeah, we need bigger letters. All right, let's get to outside of the stadium. Said he put a lot of work in out there. See the escalators and some gates. Oh, there's a bunch of different gates. Nice. 6. He lit up the aquatic center. We'll turn the lights on in a second. Nicely done with the parking garages and parking lot. The gates are well done. Oh, that's why they're separated. This is where you get in. All right. Very nice. Oh, that's a stop sign. Okay, and then the aquatic center has the hills around it. Beautiful. That center field is awesome. Great idea. Very fun. I love those quirky dimensions. This one might be my favorite of yours, Your Highness. That's what you call kings, right? Beautiful. Or should I say, Your Grace? My wife and I just rewatched Game of Thrones. I guess that was a couple weeks ago. We finished it up, but the more I watch it, the more, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, the more you anticipate Khaleesi's downfall. I wasn't in love with the finale, but oh, I like that big scoreboard in the corner. Very nice. But yeah, you saw it coming. It's nice that it wasn't incredibly predictable. No one is incredibly happy with the outcome, except for, I would say, Sansa's got to be the happiest, right? She gets the North all to herself. And Jon Snow wanted to be free anyway. He said it at one point. He goes, I wish I was going with you. When Tormund was going out back north of the wall. I think that's where he belongs. He never wanted to be king. And I think he did the right thing. I just wish he would have killed her a little bit sooner. That frickin' bitch destroyed half of frickin' King's Landing. But, all right, a king for life. All because of your name, I go off on a rant on Game of Thrones. That's the kind of stuff we talk about on Respect the Pick, though, if you like that kind of thing. So, thank you, sir. Thank you for all your stadiums. I can't wait to see more from you. Speaking of Game of Thrones, we have Greystone Park. Oh, wait, that's Grayscale. That Jorah Mormont got, right? And why can't I think of the king's name? Stannis. Stannis Baratheon's daughter had it too, right? It's Greystone Park. It's in the United States. Has an altitude of 3,750 feet. And it was built in the year 2023. And from the thumbnail, I got a great vibe from it. Holy crap. Oh, look at this. Now, how did he do that? Oh, it's the scoreboard. Nice. And then you can have people under this level, maybe? I don't know. I don't see anybody under there. Bunch of people up here. That looks really, really nice. Now, again, this guy has the similar situation to Dad Bod. He told me his screen name is Jay Schiff. But if you search his stadiums, it comes up Jazz155. And he gave me his user ID as something similar to Jazz155. So that's how I was able to put together that it is, in fact, the same person. But, oh, look at this concourse that goes straight across and around. Beautiful. Greystone Golf Course out here in Rochester is actually one of our fancier golf courses in the area. My buddy used to work there, and we used to play for a little bit cheaper. Now, this is the stand, yep. The classic. To get that brick wall look. That's good. I like that. I try to do that in my Denver Pilots Stadium. I still haven't taken a crack at that. I haven't had much time. You guys keep me busy with these stadium showcases, and I love it. This looks great, Jay Schiff. How are we looking back here? He did this in one of the other stadiums too, right? Used the railing to the lazy river as a window. Very nice. Very clean. Very, very, very gorgeous. Nice little corner up here. Now, how are you hiding all these bleachers? Oh, you're not. Well, they're not really bleachers. Is this... Did I show this stadium already? Because I thought I remembered this coming out like this, too. I don't know. If I did show it, it's worth a second look. It's freaking gorgeous. I love it. I might come in here and play some RDL Legends. I keep calling it RDL Legends. It's RDL All-Stars versus MLB Legends. Although, let's face it, I mean, most of these RDL guys are legends. The Stewarts, the Vasquez, the Davises, the Goodens, the Brett Howes and Rich Murrays. Beautiful, beautiful stadium, Jay Schiff. Very clean, very creative with the different levels. Remember it. I love that brick look. I remember trying to use it myself, and he did it way better than I did it. That's for damn sure. Now, is this the new one? Yep, that's the new anomaly. Okay. Excellent, bro. This freaking thing is amazing. Greystone Park says it's a pro-style stadium from Jay Schiff. Man, I'm glad I got this one in. And you got center field. You got this parking garage and convention center working. Excellent. Beautiful work, buddy. Oh, look, he even got fancy with like decorating the brick. Got the little circle and awesome. What's this? The show W. Oh, okay, that's part of the parking garage. I can't say enough good things about it. It's amazing. Got the Twins anomaly out here. And then in the corner, you got another scoreboard with people hanging out. These guys are protected from the elements. Beautiful. Then he mixed two different picnic tables together to get the umbrella in there. This is like one of my favorite stadiums ever. I love it. Absolutely love it. I might have to get in here and play a game to show you guys the RDL Legends. Why not, right? Man, beautiful. Jay Schiff, thank you so much for sharing this stadium with us. I loved it. TMX 2Fat35 is new to Studio 44, so welcome. He asked me to show you guys Joe Davis Stadium. It's in Huntsville, Alabama. Has an altitude of 1,800 feet, and it was built in the year 2024. And this is another one of those stadiums that has a nice, clean, professional look to it. This could easily be a real stadium. I like all the windows in the outfield here. With the cages in the back, nice. Well, it could be bullpens, right? Maybe it's custom bullpens. What's going on over here? Water. You got the Plaza Luxury with people on top of that. And then, oh, I like this, mixing this into Singers. Yellowhammer Brewery. Okay. Then you got barbecue. I had Mission Barbecue. Have you guys ever had that? I had it for the first time Friday night of Memorial Day weekend. I got a big old thing of ribs, and I had the leftovers for lunch yesterday, and they were just as good. I put boss sauce on them. Do you guys have boss sauce where you guys are anywhere? It's hard to describe. It's almost like a sweet and sour sauce, only not sweet. If that makes any sense at all. Straight to Ale Brewery. Okay. Taco Mama. Huntsville's Joe Davis Stadium. Again, I got to ask, who's Joe Davis? Like to pay homage to your special people. Not a lot going on the outside, but he did beef up the city. I like it. Looks like it could be a retractable dome with the windows. Be nice if they gave us a window prop. Something similar to that, just without open doors. Coming inside with it all lit up, and it looks gorgeous. Man, it's a short stadium. It's a short video stadium-wise, but we've seen some good ones so far. That looks really cool, all lit up. Big, huge scoreboard in center field, surrounded by the brick signs, excellent. Oh, and there's a bunch of stuff going on up here too. All right, yeah. Little concourse in here. Would you call that a concourse? Maybe some kind of patio situation? If it's field level. Very nice. TMX. Beautiful first stadium for us to show here in Studio 44. At least I think it is. The name doesn't ring a bell, but it's starting to get to that point where I don't know anymore. I'm getting too big for my britches. Shrink myself down here a little bit. Yeah, I show so many stadiums from so many users now. I just can't keep them all straight. No, seriously, I the name doesn't ring a bell, so welcome to Studio 44. Happy to have you. Can't wait to see more from you. Let's move on to Union Station Park by our good friend Justice Bieber. Once again, Union Station Park. Once again, Union Station Park from Justice Beaver, 24. It's in Kansas City, Missouri. It has an altitude of 909 feet, and it was built in 2024. And from the thumbnail, I'm getting a huge Carmen's Dad vibe from the center field with the fountain and the concourse surrounding the batter's eye in center field. Gorgeous. I like this little bleacher section too in front of this other little waterfall. This is smart. This is really nice, having those look like the Bellagio fountains, those little guys that spew, big huge things of water, and then bricking it off looks very nice. Beautiful center field. Then you got custom bullpens over here and left with the deck on top. Of course, the clubhouse section up here is nice with the Hit It Here sign. It's good infield dirt. Very nice indeed. Outside, you got the median with the grass and the trees looking really good. Now, how do you do that? Oh, it's just the. I thought it'd be too skinny. I guess I'm far away from it though. Yeah, it's just the flat. Okay. All right. Then the station's right there, right? Is that like a subway station? Because I don't see any other trains. The bus station, maybe it could be. I like the extra hill next to the batter's eye too. That's fun. Very nice, Justice Beaver. Beautiful work. All right, we'll start off with the remix of Mets Stadium that Sandman did. The original creator was New York Mets 2006. This is Mets Stadium in New York City, altitude of 500 feet, 2024. Again, created by Sandman Dan and New York Mets 2006. Now, I don't remember the original version too well, but here's what Dan's looked like. Looks like he did go ahead and use the anomalies. Well, they must have been in there already, right? If you pull the anomalies into it, right? Piazza's Club. It looks like he kind of neatened everything out, because I do remember that there was kind of decks scattered, right? Which is kind of a cool thing. He kept Piazza's Club and put the building in here and just kind of straightened this out. And now this bleacher section is in front of this upper deck that curls all the way around. Very fun. Then you got Legends deck over here with the retired numbers. Looks like he did add Gooden, right? One of these is Dwight Gooden. I like this little balcony right here with picnic tables and such. Another bleacher section out here in right. You got Seaver Club in right center. Now this, I remember being a little bit different too, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Looks like he used the Twins anomaly in a different way to create that deck, which is kind of smart, because then you can get it a little bit closer to the zigzag over here, which can create problems with SDS's weird red out zones. But we got another Twins anomaly over here with Met Stadium. Put these little guys in here to highlight the mossy ivy look in there. Very nice, Dan. He's got the home run apple out there in center field. Nothing going on outside of the stadium. Lit up. The place looks good. I mean, again, when I showcased this first stadium, I asked, is there a problem with Citi Field where people got to build a new Met Stadium? I mean, I remember not being overly thrilled by Yankee Stadium when it came out. It's a little bland. I mean, it's New York City. It's the freaking Yankees. You know, you couldn't get a little bit more creative with it than what they did. I mean, it's home and I love it. And being there, it's definitely better than the old piece of shit stadium where everything's cramped and falling apart. And that's why I wish they'd just get rid of Fenway, man. Enough with the fucking sediment. Get it out of here. But wait till I go there for... I do want to see Fenway before it's torn down, but it's time. Come on. And Wrigley, they did enough renovations, right, to make it a little bit more modern. I mean, they didn't have freaking scoreboards or video boards there until, like, what, 5 years ago or so? But, yeah, this looks great, fellas. The combined effort. This corner is still fantastic with the 3 layers of seats. I like it a lot. And then paying homage to the 2 cute 1-2 World Series Mets. 1-2. Good for you, Mets. Oh boy. So yeah, I think the scoreboard is different too. Used the Indian scoreboard and kind of framed it up with the... Yeah, very nice, Dan. New York Mets, 2006. What do you think? This is fun. I'm surprised you guys don't take this on a little bit more. I mean, I get it. At the same time, you know, you got your own stadiums you want to do, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. To me, when I don't have the inspiration to start from scratch and just go in and start anew, it's fun to download a stadium that I like and just tinker with the things that I think could be improved a little bit more on another stadium. I like the Shake Shack over here. That looks good. This might be new too. Very nice. All right. We turn the lights on, right? Do it again real quick. And then we'll take a look at Dan's new stadium. And I see Camden Court in Baltimore, Maryland. You got to assume it's supposed to be Orioles, right? But yeah, Dan confirmed that in the comments. Has an altitude of 2,600 feet, and it was built in 2024. And we can see we got Phillies, batter's eye in center field. Got the similar little section that's kind of blocked off by a bigger wall out here and right. Of course, the home run fence isn't that big compared to the real one in Baltimore. But it's got a fun little deck up here with some bleachers and some picnic tables. And the entrance is framed by the seat indicator. That's fun. And the seats go around and behind. Very nice. And then over in left field, it's pretty standard. Old school roof. I always like the old school roof. I love hitting balls on the roof that slant down onto the field. Of course, the balls don't roll like they should on them, but this area looks fun too. You got the mossy brick wall out here, and then another scoreboard walk deck. Another little deck down here. Oh, you used the stairs, smart. Ballpark eats out there on top with a home run deck. Fun. And then the city, of course, in the background looks really good. Beefing up the view. Dan often jazzes up the outside of his stadiums too. That looks really nice. What is that? Oh, okay. The one building to make a different type sidewalk texture. I like it. And then he's got these patches of grass with signs and trees. Excellent. Dan always has great ideas. Very nice indeed, Dan. I knew we'd be safe closing out the video with a stadium made by you. The stadium portion of this video, anyway. He's got statues outside. I know Camden Yards also has statues. I love Camden Yards. It's a little cramped in the, the better seating sections. Man, I just remembered that one day we sat like the day I had my bacon on a stick. Oh, it was so good. We sat like right here, and you're like this. I mean, I was a little thinner than I am now, but still, that was 11 years ago, and we were still cramped. But it's one of the better seats I've ever had in a Major League game. When I saw the Yankees and Indians in 22, we were like right here. Those were good seats. And then Toronto Yankees in 17, we were a little bit further back, like right here. Those were one of my better seats too. But yeah, it was fun going to Camden Yards. If you ever go, you got to find that bacon on a stick. Oh, it's so good. All right, Camden Court, labeled on the outside too. Great little entranceway, using that new roof as kind of like an awning to the entrance. Excellent. All right, well, that concludes the stadium presentation of this video. So if you're watching the premiere and you don't care about the RDL All-Star roster, feel free to take off. No hard feelings. Same thing if you're watching this later on. Don't expect to see any more stadiums. But let's check out the roster, the team, now that it's complete and ready to go, and play games that are hosted by stadiums created by you. Okay, I figured I'd start with the uniforms. I never had the L in the RDL before, but, talking about RDL so much with you guys lately, I figured I had to get it in there. It makes more sense too. It's the Ricky Davis League All-Stars, not the Ricky Davis All-Stars. So I changed it back to put the L in there, and I think it looks okay with the L on the hat and the chest. I found the star in the vault. The R is obviously just one of the fonts from the templates, and I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think I meant to leave that 57 on the arm, on the patch or whatever, but I mean, you can barely see it when you play in the game, so I'm not going to start over just for that. It's such bullshit, by the way. Oh my God, SDS, if you're watching, please, for the love of frickin' Pete, we need to separate the franchise creator or the uniform maker or the logo maker from franchise mode. Put it in the creative part where the stadium creator and the roster control and all that stuff is, so we can create the franchises, the teams, and upload them to the vault, and then let us use them in exhibition games so we can test them without having to create a whole new freaking franchise every time. It's such a nightmare. If you realize you forgot something or you messed something up and you play a game and you're like, oh, I got to start over because this is hideous and I didn't freaking mean to do it. You have to fix that. The away uniforms look like this. Again, I found the All-Stars. It's basically just changing the sizes of the letters and kind of, jamming them together and then putting that star in for the A. Now, I think there was a different star in there, and I put that one in there. But I'm not 100% certain on that. But, yeah, I'm happy enough with it. Again, we picked the yellow and blue for Respect the Pick, their colors. Mark was excited as I was to find out that you guys were excited about the Ricky Davis League and that you want to see some games streamed. So he's into it. He came up with the idea of maybe going back and playing some older games like the original baseball. You can play that on the Switch. You can play Baseball Simulator 1000 on the Switch. Both games hosted RDL leagues before. Maybe we can find a Sega Genesis and play Hardball. But it's fun to go through some of these players and talk about their background and what games we got them from. So let's move on to that part of it. So I figured I'd start with the double A lineup and go down, and then at the end I'll throw in the single A guys just as backup people. I probably should have paid more attention to creating the franchise and then maybe boosted up the injuries to kind of force some of the lower guys to have to come up and fill spots. I think that could have made it a little bit more fun, and to get some of the less profile guys involved more. But again, I'm not starting over for that. But here we go. Eduardo Menendez, switch hitting shortstop. He can probably play second and third. He can steal a bag here and there. An okay defender. When my wife and I first started dating in the late 90s, we created a team for her. And this was her shortstop. And we kept them. We kept him and two other players. I wish I remembered more of the people. Her and my best friend, Jared Utley, we made a team for. We only kept one of his guys. He's the only one I remember. But Omar Manzanillo, he's one of those guys who was either created from simulation to the point where if you simulate far enough into a franchise, all the real players retire and they have to replace them with fictional characters. So he's either from that or someone's fictional roster. So I'm going to call that borrowed/simmed is where we got some of these players. There's definitely ones that I know we were simmed because we simmed them ourselves. And we'll get into those guys the very next guy, as a matter of fact. But what we would do later on and what we do now is we find a fictional roster in the vault. And then we replace the 5 or 6 or 7 teams, whatever, we have guys with our guys. And then the rest of the league is either created by someone else who uploaded the roster or simmed. And I don't know which is which. Because, I know that people do sim and then they export all the players and create a whole new roster. So those guys where I don't know. And if I'm running into any franchise guys, or if any franchise guys are running into this video and you made that guy, please let me know. I would love to find out, or let you know even how the guys are doing in our league compared to your league. That's always fun because I always want to know how my Ricky Davis League guys do in your guys' leagues when you download them. So, yeah, Omar Manzanillo, he was simmed created or simmed borrowed. I don't know which. He's a switch hitting all around guy. He's got a little pop, can hit for average. He won the batting title once, I think. Pretty fast, decent arm, can play all 3 outfield positions. He should probably be in the double or triple A or maybe even the majors just because of how versatile he is, but he's down. I'm not crazy about him. I'm the one who discovered him and traded for him first, but he's on Mark's team now and he's soaring there. Chris Morales, he always gets the short end of the stick. He should be up in AAA, but there's so many good first basemen. So he's the starting first baseman and probably best hitter in the AA team. Power, batting average, not the best defender, not the fastest, but man, he can hit. And I usually use him for my left-handed home run derbies when I test stadiums out. Him or DJ Jackson or Guillermo Vasquez. Chris Taylor, yes, I know there's a real Chris Taylor, but he was on a team. He was sim borrowed. So I don't know if someone created him or not, but he's got power at third base. I'm always looking for a third baseman. I can never get one who I'm happy with. Either he's too good or I don't like him or whatever. Or I fall in love with a guy and then the game takes his stance away. Something like that. Damian Bell. Another third baseman who I was searching for, but he can play all infield positions, I think, except first. A little Oswaldo Cabrera. Switch hitting, got a little power, a little batting average, fast. He's kind of an Omar Manzanillo, maybe with a little bit more power. Ryan Hall, big hitting, power hitting lefty, best defender in the game, fantastic arm. He's a platinum glove candidate because he's that good at third base. He's also very clutch. He gets a 99 in clutch every year because he hit one of the most famous home runs in Ricky Davis League history when he was on my team, a game-winning World Series-ending home run off Mark in Forbes Field. I can still see it if I close my eyes and think about it. And I did it in one of his first houses outside of moving out of my parents' house. He hit a monster shot out of Forbes Field from the PlayStation's version of Hardball. Esteban Jersey, he is the first player we're going to see who was borrowed from Bases Loaded. He was the catcher for New York. Now, what we did early on was Bases Loaded was like the second game that we played a lot of. And, of course, they had their own fictional players, but they never had first names. So we named all the guys who we borrowed from that league or from that game, and we considered them our minor league team. because after Bases Loaded, there was like Baseball Stars and maybe Baseball Simulator 1000 that we would use, and then sometimes we would come back and play Bases Loaded, and then these guys would be our minor league teams, and we'd call them up. So Esteban Jersey was the catcher for New York. That was my team. He had some pop, a left-handed catcher, and we gave him a stance that looks like the one in the game that he had. Sherman Mosby, power-hitting right-handed hitter. I tried to use him in one of the highlight videos that I made a while back. Basically a swing and miss power guy. He's got an arm. He can play right and left field. And that's why he's in Double-A. Not much going along with him. Sammy Reed. I don't remember batting him ninth, but he's one of the fastest guys in the league. Switch hitting, super powerful. Terrible, terrible swing and miss guy, though. But when he runs into him, and the ball goes a long way. He's been on and off Mark's team a lot. I've had him once, and I think Mark's going back after him again in the offseason. Sean Andrews, I traded for him when one of my infielders got hurt. I needed a guy who could play, I don't remember what position, but he can play all the infield positions. Switch hitter, good batting average, little speed, all around good hitter. Landon Klinkhammer is, by the way, Sean Andrews, Sammy Reed, both Sim borrowed. Sherman Mosby, I think we made him. A lot of times what we'll do is if we like a guy's stance or like one of his names, we'll change the name of the name we don't like. But the rule is it has to be the same first letter as the name that we found him in. Landon Klinkhammer, I believe he's also Sim borrowed. He is a power-hitting left-handed shortstop, second baseman. I'm not crazy about this guy. I never had him. Mark found him and had him for a little while and traded him. Mark's position is short. He can never find a shortstop or a leadoff hitter that he's happy with, so he's always trading for a shortstop first baseman. Tommy Hong, lefty. A right-handed hitter. He hits lefties very well. Power hitting catcher. He's fun. I've had him on my team a couple times. He's also Sim borrowed. Carlos Padilla, we made him. I changed his name. I think both his names to Carlos Padilla. It was originally Polito, but I liked Padilla better, so I changed it to that. He's one of the first people that I traded for and kept him in one of the first seasons that we completed in MLB The Show. Isaiah Burris, he, I think, came from the very first generation of MLB The Show players as well. He was on New York, and I think he stayed there the whole time. I don't think either Mark or I have had him. Maybe Mark has, but I like using him in the RDL All-Stars. Emiliano Tatis, I had him before. He's Sim borrowed. Little pop. Right-handed center fielder, great fielder, good arm, is fast. All right, let's go look at the pitchers real quick for Double-A. Jason Ruzica is a flame-throwing lefty. Sinker, changeup maybe? He doesn't have it. I don't think he has anything that breaks right to left. Otis Cook, often considered a 1B. Very solid pitcher. He always, like, his arm curls up kind of like Craig Kimbrell's when he's waiting. That's how I always envisioned him. Tom McGuire. I don't remember Tom McGuire. He's been around a long time, but he might be an original guy or one of the newer games. There's like OG, and then there's like late OG, and then there's like super late OG. He might be a super late OG, but Mark would be able to tell you more about Tom McGuire. I've had him. He's had him. Maybe I remember Anthony having him. Anthony's Mark's best friend growing up. He helped create the Ricky Davis League, and again, I'm the one who they let me tag along. And then Akiya Kobayashi, we created him. He would have been Sim borrowed. I changed his first name, and then Mark changed his last name when he got him. So Marvin Jenkins, I believe we got him from MVP Baseball. I think it's a EA Sports game on PlayStation 2 or maybe 3. I don't remember. But if you wanted a fictional roster, you had to recreate the whole league, and that's what we did. So we created Marvin Jenkins, and I got him and Willie Ransom, and my brother got J.J. Cooper from that. And I think those were the only 3 we kept, but maybe if I run into a different name, I'll know. Elvis Navarro, Sim borrowed. I think I changed his name to Elvis just because I liked it. Darren Rayburn, he's an OG simmed. We definitely simmed him. Kirby Larkin is sim borrowed, but I gave him the name Kirby Larkin. He was some other KL. Colby Fulmer, he is sim borrowed. I had him at one time. Mark has him now. Great lefty. Dante Palmer, I think he might be from Bacon's fictional roster, but I'm not 100% sure. If not, he's sim borrowed. He was on Pittsburgh when I found him. That's all I remember. Jose Pena, he is an OG simmed. He was the closer for the New York team, whether it was the Yankees, because at the time, we were real teams when we first started this because they didn't have rebranding yet. And that's the AA squad. Let's take a look at AAA. I can't believe I'm sitting here with a microphone and a camera telling you guys about the Ricky Davis League. It's so fun. We've been using these guys since we were kids. Some of them anyway. Marlon Tompkins is, I think, sim borrowed. He was on one of the teams 1 year, 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's been around for a while now. I had him. He's got a little pop, playing center field, good arm, fast, good defender. Jamar York is OG sim borrowed, or simmed, I should say. All around right fielder, good pop, can play center field. He's fast, good defense. More of a batting average guy, I guess, than pop. But Nick Kenny, 3 or 4 seasons into playing MLB The Show, I discovered this guy with a left-hander, Jeff Bagwell type, like really crouched, almost like his butt's hitting the ground, and he's cocking his bat like really slow and hard and intimidating. Like, can play left and first base. He had a monster year the first time we ran into him, so we kept him. Wayne Paste. Here we have another bases loaded guy. He was never on Mark's or my team. I was always New York. He was always Philly. And then Paste and Fendi were on. One was on Jersey and one was on DC. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you're a fan of bases loaded and you don't hit start right away, you see Wayne Paste hit a home run off Mark's closer, Dwayne Carr. And I'll put the graphic up again, but I made his stance look as close as I could to the stance he has in bases loaded. So he's fun. Peter Murillo, he's about 2 or 3 years into this game. He's simmed. Switch hitting third baseman. I have him playing third. He's a left fielder now. I think I put him at third so Nick Kenny could play left and Paste at first and have DJ Jackson DH. I think that's why I did that. But in the RDL, in the regular league, he usually plays left field now. But when we found him, he was a third baseman. We just have so many third basemen because I'm still trying to find my forever third baseman. But, I mean, who am I kidding? We always trade and our rosters never end up the same. Sergio Sanchez. Now, when we do our franchises, we always just replace the major league guys. And we always say, whoever's in the minor leagues, they're ours. We get to control them for that season. Well, 1 year, my backup catcher got hurt, and I called up Sergio Sanchez, and he was amazing. He did such a great job that I kept him. And it got to the point where he was too good, so I traded him, just to kind of level my team out a little bit. And he's a switch hitting. He's got a little power, decent defender, batting average guy. Mark Winfield, I think he might be a second generation OG. I think he was still around in the first version of the game, that original baseball game where the RDL was created. Mainly a batting average guy, left-handed, very old school, has a little pop. And the hardball game, one of the hardball games for the Sega Genesis, I don't know if you guys ever played those. There were versions where they had real players, and then there were versions where they had fictional players. And I think it was fictional, and we're like, okay, and we're playing, and we don't recognize anybody. And then I remember getting excited because they were going to use real players. And then it was cool because at least we knew who we were playing against. But then it got to the point where me and Mark were like, you know what? We always just trade with ourselves. We always have the same guys just going back and forth. And then they created another version of the game where you could use all fictional rosters. And I'm like, you know what? We should be able to trade for those guys. Wouldn't it be fun to bring in more people? And that's where some other people came in, and I'll tell you about those guys when they get there. But the reason I brought up Mark Winfield is because I played a game. I recorded it on VHS. I unhooked the thing from the TV, hooked it up to the VCR so I could record it. I scored like 35 runs in a game. And Mark Winfield hit like 3 home runs in that game, him and John Jordan. But Mark Winfield, OG, old school type of player, left-handed. I always give him Albert Bell's stance. He has a little pop, but he's mainly a batting average guy. Terrible defender, though. Terrible second baseman. Cameron Lindsay's fairly new, 3 or 4, 5 years old. Again, I needed a third baseman. I wanted to give him a shot. Not a lot of pop, especially against righties, but he's a good batting average guy, very fast, can steal some bases, good fielder. Tuan Rosen, OG Sim guy. The first season he was on Guillermo Vasquez's team and Victor Cortez's team, the ace of that team. Also Adam Cullen, a center fielder who was an A-ball in this league. Big, power-hitting, right-handed, tall, lanky, just uses them arms and just whacks the ball all over the place. I use Babe Ruth stance with him. So it's fun to see him cock that back down and blast balls. I want to keep him. I want him to be my forever third baseman, but he's just too good. You know, we kind of keep it to. We try to keep it to the point where we each have like 3 like legends almost on the team, or top tier players on our team, and he's borderline top tier, second tier. And when I have him, I'm just too damn good with him. So Pedro Tejada, he's actually my right fielder right now, but I'm about to trade his ass. Had a terrible season for me. I had him before, and I think he led the team when he was the only player to lead my team in home runs besides Steve Stewart, because Steve Stewart was hurt the year that I had him, and I think they both ended up with 60 home runs. Hubert Mojica, good fielding lefty. Also a batting average guy, a little bit of pop, but mainly just batting average, a little speed too, 70s, 80s. Junior Mejia, he's also fairly new. He was on the same team as Percy Caney, so he's by the way, borrowed simmed, these 3. Junior Mejia, right-hander, I gave him the catcher from the Braves. I don't remember, Albies? He's not. I'm not sure if he's a catcher. Albies. I don't remember his full name. But he had some more power off right-handed pitchers. Believe it or not, he's a right-handed hitter, but great defender. That most of that 87 is all defense. A little bit of contact against lefties and pretty decent power against righties. Leroy Tillman is a late OG. Mark's big first baseman / right fielder, a lot of power, big swing and miss guy on the right side of the box. We do the tallest you can make a player. We do Leroy Tillman. All right, that's all for the players. Let's move on to the rotation. Sean Warner should probably be in the bigs. He was the OG ace for any team that was not me or Mark. So he's pretty OG. I think he was involved in the first game. Just nasty. Very consistent. Mark always makes him with his cheekbones sticking out like that, like I did with Hubert Mojica. Just because Hubert Mojica was like that when I found him in the vault or on somebody's roster. CJ Skinner is fairly new. He was on New York. I just remember him. A lot of times I remember a lot of the New York players because your favorite team always shows up first when you go to edit players, right? So the Yankees would always show up, and he was always one of the better pitchers on that team. So Ellis Rowe was OG simmed. I think he was on the same team as Victor Cortez and Tuan Rosen and Guillermo Vasquez and Adam Cullen. All those guys, it was Seattle. But now we put them all on LA all the time. He's nasty. He had one of the better seasons that wasn't pitched by Brett Howe or Mike Gooden, mine and Mark's. Ron Clemens, OG ace. Again, he should probably be in the majors, but you just get so sick of some of these guys that I'm going with either new blood or guys that I like better, even if they're not as good in the majors. But most of them are the top tier guys. Victor Cortez, you've heard me talk about him, an ace. for the Mariners, OG simmed. Lefty, slider, nasty. Millard Collins, I think he was OG simmed as well. Now, Charles Oatman, a lot of our bullpen guys in the minors, by the way, and in the majors are all starters. That's why we don't have as many pitchers in the bullpen, and we just stack our team with players instead of pitchers. The very first version of Hardball was on the Sega Genesis, at least the first version I ever played. There might have been a PC version of it, but Pittsburgh was the only team that was any good. And Mark would always let me have the better teams just because he was older and he was always a better player than me. So he gave me the better teams. And Oatman was one of the aces on that team. And that's the only team we kept players from because the rest of them sucked. And I would hit bombs all over the place with the rest of these guys. They had a guy named Gretz and this pitcher Oatman. They had a pitcher named Ryan who was okay. So I brought all those guys over. And then there was my backup first baseman, Strong. He had some power, so I brought him over. And then there was another guy named Moore. I think this was before the documentary guy was famous. I think we named him Michael, but I'm not sure. We don't use him anymore. But there was a bunch of other guys on that original hardball game that were all on Pittsburgh, and the rest of the team sucked. So no matter who Mark picked, I always whooped his ass, and we never got very far with that game. Pedro Ibarra is a borrowed simmed, decent setup guy. Jerry Jackson is an OG bullpen guy, my big gun out of the bullpen when I first created my team. Very sloppy, very messy hair, unkept beard, dirty clothes, and the high socks and a jerky, really crazy wind-up. Kenji Chang is a borrowed sim guy, I think, the closer for the Wizards, the San Jose Wizards. One of the better closers, not named Rich Murray. Daniel Wainwright is a borrowed sim guy. He is my right-handed setup guy for Rich Murray. Faustino Irizarry, he is an OG sim guy. He is the Chicago Hitmen's closer and has been since he was discovered. That's AAA. Time to move on to the big guns. Okay, now Mark will always throw a fit when he sees this. He'll say, "Why isn't Ricky Madlock leading off and Ray Cleavers is hitting first?" Well, when you go through all this work and create this team, you can make Ricky Madlock lead off. But I'm gonna have Ray Cleavers. I'm gonna make him. Ray Cleavers did have back-to-back batting titles. He's broken Ricky Henderson's stolen base record like 4 times. Of course, Ricky Madlock's done it a lot more, I'm sure. But Ray Cleavers, he hits like Travis Hafner. I think All-Star Baseball, like 06 or 08 or something like that, for the GameCube, I had it, was the first game where you could actually assign a stance to someone, at least that I can remember. And that's pretty much when I created all the stance for my guys, and Mark created all the stances for him. And then, of course, moving on to this game, you could still do it. So I think maybe in the MVP games you could do it too. But, yeah, Ray Cleavers was always kind of crouched down, open stance, his hands in front of him with the bat kind of straight up. And then he would just flick his wrist and hit the ball the other way. Little to no power, but demon on the base pass. One of the better fielding shortstops, probably third or second behind Basil Launchbaugh, who was an OG simmed. And he's one of my favorite players. He started with Mark, and when I got him, I haven't got rid of him since, so I've had him way longer than Mark had him by now. Ricky Davis. You know Ricky Davis. We named the league after him, the best all-around hitter in the league. Mark's third baseman, number 10. This is how I always pictured Ricky Davis looking because, like I said, Mark hasn't even touched this game yet, and I wanted to get these done, so I made these guys kind of his guys anyway, how I envision his players to look. So if he ever wants to get in here, obviously I'll let him in here and make his guys how he wants to, but he does have to make his entire team, and I have to make all the franchises before we can start the real Ricky Davis League. So hopefully when future games come out and they can do more creative online leagues with custom rosters and stuff, we can invite you guys to play with us in the season, and I think it would be so much fun. We trade players with each other and shit. Oh, it could be so fun. I just hope they let us edit. I want to be able to edit the players mid-season, like be able to change numbers and change batting gloves and all that shit, but not attributes. Attributes have to stay put, right? That's what I would love. Guillermo Vasquez, you've heard me talk about him before. OG simmed. He's one of the dominant players in the league. Left-handed first baseman. Pop, batting average. I mean, your only hope is to throw a lefty up against him. He's nasty. Steve Stewart, you've heard me talk about him. 44 for Eric Davis. My favorite, best player. I hit like him in softball. So he has my stance, kind of like Ken Griffey Jr.-ish. Massive power. Has led the league in home. Probably has the most career home runs in the Ricky Davis League. And he's got a cannon in left field. And he's just my guy. Studio 44 is named after this guy. Bucky Crozier. He, I think, is like second or third simmed league we ever did. He won the MVP in the opposite league we were in. And when we played against him, with interleague play, he hit bombs and he led the league in batting average, but still had a lot of home runs. So when I have him, he hits like 50 home runs and hits 350, 360. Of course, I guess that's not really good in this game when Mark usually has two guys in the 400s at least. Percy Caney's fairly new. I think he might be a Bacon guy or another created fictional roster. So if he sounds familiar, please let me know. Switch hitting, power center fielder. Mostly power. He can hit some bombs, and he's pretty fast and has a good arm too. So he's a good center fielder. I'm going to go after him again. He was, I had him for like 2 or 3 seasons, and I really liked him. Tony Johnson, OG. He was my original catcher way back when we first created the Ricky Davis League. Number 32, I was a huge Magic Johnson fan at the time. So he's my catcher. More of a batting average guy, but on a great season, he can hit 30, 35 home runs. Rob Thompson, same thing. Maybe a little bit more power, especially since he's left-handed. Big, huge Dave Winfield type guy. Lefty, kind of, I always envisioned him, I think, back in that All-Star baseball game, he was on my team, and I gave him Manny Ramirez. So ever since then, I kind of envisioned him, kind of standing up tall, but, bent at the waist a little bit. And we gave him 31 because, very Dave Winfield-ish. One of the better arms in the league, one of the better fielding right fielders in the league. And he probably has a little bit more power than Tony Johnson, but not as much batting average. So on a good season, he could hit 35-40, hit 350. Ricky Madlock, my least favorite player in the Ricky Davis League. Fuck this guy. He was my original second baseman. Switch hitting, batting average guy who has a little pop. Good season. He could hit 30 home runs. He had a historic slump for me about 40 years ago, maybe more like 35. So I traded his ass, and then Mark picked him up, and of course he turned into what he is. He always wins the fucking All-Star nomination at second base. Always wins the fucking batting title or fucking bases or stolen bases. So fuck this guy. I hate Ricky Madlock. I don't know what it is, but I hate him more than I hate Marky Mark. Fuck Ricky Madlock. Terrence Fendy, I talked about him. I've used him in home run derbies and highlights before. He's big fucking badass. He had like 50 home runs for Jersey or DC. I can't remember. I want to say DC and Pace was Jersey. But he's nasty. Batting average. I had him on my team with Steve Stewart. They both hit 60 home runs at the time. Powerful third baseman who is one of the better hitters on the Chicago Hitmen. He'll be hitting balls out across the street into the headquarters of the United Airlines field. John McGee, my original first baseman when we created this league. He's usually number 11. I don't know why he's only 1, but I got to fix that. Switch hitter. He could hit 20 home runs in his best season. Batting average guy, speed, Great defensive first baseman, can play center field also. Darren Erstadish. Ruben Mesa is about 6 years old, borrowed sim type of guy. He had an amazing year. He was on the Orioles when we found him, and he was the starting shortstop of the All-Star League that year, of the All-Star team that we were in. He beat out Mark Sky and Ray Cleavers. So we held on to him because we don't have a lot of stud shortstops in this league. So anytime we find a stud shortstop, we want to keep him. And he's definitely a stud shortstop. Jerome Raines, he is the lone player remembered from my best friend Jared Utley's team. We used to play a game in he had this huge, big, built-on room in the back of his house. And it had like a vaulted ceiling, and it had a pool table in there. And we played what we called Kush ball. It was like a women's basketball-sized, Nerf ball kind of thing. And we would hit it with a bat. And we had certain places in the room that were considered home runs. And I would always pretend I was my guys. He created a team so he could pretend he was his guys. And Jerome Raines is the only one we remember. Obviously based on Tim Raines quite a bit. He's a switch hitter, though. He's got a little bit of pop. Good batting average guy. Incredibly, incredibly fast, but not the best stolen base guy, although he is pretty good and always ends up with a lot. Nick Leonard falls in the category of OG villain with Sean Warner and Phil McKenzie. He was always on the other team, although I think Phil McKenzie was my starting right fielder. I think I had Phil McKenzie to start the league off. OG, batting average guy. He was originally a catcher, but we moved him to second base. But he's the backup catcher in the bigs. We wanted to have the best hitters, so I have him be up, although it should probably be Sergio Sanchez. But there he is. I like Nick Leonard. Catman Carter, he's an OG. He was created by Anthony, Mark's best friend. He has a couple weird names on his team. I think Ron Clemens was Anthony's, and Catman Carter and Carl Fisk. And then his closer was Greaseman Garage. So, Catman Carter, he's a good all-around player. He has power from both sides of the plate. He can hit for batting average both sides of the plate, and he can play all four infield positions, which is why we always put him on this team, just because he can back up anywhere. He's probably, moved Mesa. We have Mesa, so he's our backup shortstop. But Catman Carter is currently my third baseman, although I might trade him. And that's it for the position players. Let's move on to the starting rotation and bullpen. Mike Gooden, he was he was second generation OG. We still had him when we were playing that original baseball game, but he was definitely towards the end of that era. We created him to be my ace, but Mark liked him, so I traded him to Mark. I didn't really care about him that much, and he became the best all-around starting pitcher in the league. Brett Howe, my ace, he's from Bases Loaded. I think he was like 47 or 49 or something like that on that Bases Loaded team, and he was the ace of New York, at least who I thought was the ace. Whenever I started that league, he was the pitcher I used first. Very good numbers in that game, and I hit a home run with him, a grand slam with him, as a matter of fact. So whenever we create Brett Howe, we make him a good hitting pitcher, even though he never hits. 'Cause especially now that interleague play both leagues have the DH now. So we still do it, though, just for the hell of it. I should do it someday when I'm really whooping a team. Give Brett Howe some at-bats. See if I can pop some with him. Madison Bumgarner or CC Sabathia style. Wilson Papelbon, he's fairly new. I don't remember where I saw him, but obviously I recognize the name Papelbon, because of the recent player. He was one of the aces on one of the other teams, and I just remembered him having a great season, so I kind of held on to him. He's a sim borrowed guy. I don't know if he was simmed. I don't know if he was borrowed from another roster or what. Willie Gomez, he's a simmed guy from a few years into MLB The Show. Nasty, nasty lefty ace. He's usually the ace of the San Jose Wizards. Neither Mark or I have had him. I kind of got bored with him, but I kind of rebranded him to make him a little bit. I gave him Andy Pettit's number, and although he's 48 on this team, and I gave him a fun wind-up, so maybe we'd like him a little bit more. I had been sending him down to AAA and calling up someone different, but I wanted to have another lefty in there. Brody McGregor. 1999. We were watching the Jersey Chronicles a lot, Kevin Smith's movies. We loved the character Brody Bruce from Mallrats, so we named him Brody. And we were huge Episode 1 fans, well, Star Wars fans. And I became a big Ewan McGregor fan, so we named him Brody McGregor. Teddy Higgins, my 1B. He's one of those pitchers that was created in that hardball league. I wanted a number 2 guy. I got tired of Tom McGuire or whoever my number 2 was at that time, so I got Teddy Higgins. He has left my team at different points. I did have Brody McGregor once just because I wanted to have him. And I traded Teddy Higgins for him, but I missed Teddy Higgins, so I got him back. Mason Sankaitis, I think he was a starter for a different year of C.J. Skinner. He was on the Yankees, I think. So he's either simmed or borrowed from somebody. I noticed how good he was, and I kept on to him. And I held on to him and just kept creating him since I first discovered him. Jerome Ellis. I keep asking Mark where he came from, but I can't remember. He's Mark's guy. He either found him in another game or created him, or he might have been a bases loaded guy. I don't think so, but ever since Mark first got him, he's kept him. He's a nasty long reliever. He can throw 3 or 4 innings and just be filthy. Marshall Bryant, I discovered him in the second full season of simmed games or simmed leagues. I found him our second simmed roster. He's a big, huge lefty, flamethrower, not a lot of control, but he became my setup guy, my lefty setup guy. John Brayman, he's a simmed guy, the closer for the Hollywood Stars. He's okay. Steve Stewart's hit a couple walk-offs off this bum. And then you've heard me talk about Rich Murray, the best closer in the RDL, and versions of the ballpark at the Moonshot Casino that has retired numbers, his 50's up there. So those are the big guns. Those are the big RDL superstars. So real quick, let me just go through some of the AA guys. There's not many. I'm sorry, not AA, single A. But yeah, these are some of the guys who, you know, they're there in case there's injuries. You obviously don't play with these guys, but you know, you can call them up if someone gets hurt. Parker Kilcullen, Sim borrowed. Bernard Washington, I think he might have been a Bacon guy. He was on that same team with Dante Palmer, Cage Pulsifer, Bernie Stapleton. So I don't know if anybody knows the Bacon's roster. Mark Tallett, he's a flame-throwing lefty. I had him as my number 3 at one point. He's decent. Mariano Perez, my left fielder, who I turned into a center fielder because he's so fast and he's leadoff guy. He's got a cannon of an arm, mostly a defender. He can hit for batting average, but he can't hit lefties very well. He's a bases loaded guy, and I named him Mariano after Mariano Rivera. So in the mid-90s when, believe it or not, we were still playing bases loaded. Jack Ruzicka is a left-handed hitting catcher, the brother of Jason Ruzicka, the left-handed pitcher. Bernie Stapleton, I just brought his name up. I think he was in the same team as Pulsifer and Bernard Washington and Bernie Stapleton and all those guys. Connor Rasmussen, another borrowed simmed. I think he was also a Yankee. I remember seeing that name, Rasmussen, a lot. Decent pitcher, so I held on to him. Adam Cullen, he was an OG simmed. He was on Guillermo Vasquez, Tuan Rosen, Adam Cullen, obviously, Ellis Rowe, Victor Cortez, all those guys. He was on that OG team. Did I say Tuan Rosen? Juan Castilla, Mark and I were fighting over him when we first found him. He's a tall, lanky, hard-throwing starting pitcher. Barry Norton, he came into the league the same time as Teddy Higgins in that hardball game. I got him and Teddy Higgins. I wanted a new second baseman at the time. I was tired of Mark Winfield, so I found Barry Norton. And even though he's only been on my team once or twice since then, I keep making him as an enemy. Phil McKenzie is an OG bad guy, although, like I said earlier, I think he was my first right fielder, and I traded him away. Tyrone Tyson is a couple years old, borrowed, simmed. Dylan Clark, I'm quite 99.9% sure he's a Bacon's fictional roster guy. He was on Houston. Him and we named him, I changed his name to Eric Borowski. I can't remember what his name was in Bacon's roster. But, yeah, they were on the same team. The Astros were pretty nasty in Bacon's roster. Stan Weiss, the first baseman for my wife's team. He's one of the people we remembered. Weiss I found in the phone book, and Stan we named because we were big South Park fans at the time. We named it after Stan Marsh. I think there was some. Oh, Stan Laurel and Hardy. My brother and I are huge Stan guys. And at the time we were talking, if my wife and I ever had kids, what we never did, we would name one of our kids Stan, and then she bailed on it. But whatever. And then Dallas Wagner, starting pitcher. He's like a 3 or a 4 or a 4 or a 5. And again, he's a Yankee guy. He's a sim borrowed on one of those Yankee teams that I just kept running into, because whenever you start to edit guys, they start you on your favorite team, when you first start playing the game. That's it. That's all I got for you this video. All I've got for you now that I've been recording for almost 2 hours. But I hope I didn't bore you. I hope enough people stuck around to learn a little bit more about the Ricky Davis League All-Star roster. I will be playing games using that roster. I think the idea for now is to maybe try to do a live stream. I'm considering streaming some stadium showcases live to see what you guys think about that, because the editing process is killing how long it takes for me to get videos out. I mean, if you guys can handle me tripping over my tongue all over the place, then it might be worth it to showcase some of these stadiums live. I just talked to Sewell about maybe doing it, but we'll see. I mean, if I did them live, then you'll have to wait for the load times, and I'll have to wait for people to be on to... I mean, I could always just go down the list and stream stadiums, but I'm thinking out loud when I should be wrapping up this video. It's long enough. If you have a stadium you want showcased here in Studio 44, I hope you know what to do by now. All you have to do is follow the link in the description of this video or on my channel, or you can find it on my Facebook page. I have a Studio 44 Facebook page. Just do a search for Studio 44 Phil Sherman, and it'll pop right up. You follow that link to the Google form, fill it out, and it keeps me nice and organized and in order, and I can get your stadium showcased ASAP. This RDL roster is now live. I just uploaded a third patch for it to fix some guys whose stances I didn't have right, or which side of the plate right. A lot of right-handed guys who should be switch hitters. So I fixed that. If you're using these guys for anything, please let me know how they're doing. I'm so anxious to hear how some of these guys do in other leagues, especially like the Steve Stewarts and Ricky Davises and Brett Howes, Rich Murrays, and Ray Cleavers. So please let me know if you use these guys. I hope that you didn't find this boring. I hope you end up using these guys. I can't believe I've been sitting here talking about these guys for over an hour. I'm going to expect people to actually care about them. But, I mean, people showed interest in the premiere for my last video that streamed. So I wanted to get on and talk about them. The other thing, the one thing that might get me to start this league over is if someone wants to redo the logo for me. It's just something that I threw together, the R and the D, and then, outline it, and I found that star. If you guys can come up with something better, by all means, I would love to see it. I know Dodger Blue 55 does a lot with logos, and he has something cooking that he wants me to talk about. So when he gets that going a little bit more, I'll give you more information about that. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, like this video if you liked it. Check out Respect the Pick. It's right here on YouTube, or if you want it in just audio format, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for now. I'm so looking forward to using your stadiums in RDL All-Star games, and I'm so hoping you guys enjoy seeing the RDL guys play. So take care, and we'll see you soon.